And here we go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to Jeffrey Augustine Songco for being here today. I'm so excited to host you and have you here and hear all about your incredible art practice and everything you've been doing since we last saw each other, which was like 10 years ago. So it's been a little bit. My name is Michelle Raymond, if you don't know who I am, and I'm the director of Archer Gallery and Clark Art Talks here at Clark College. We've been running everything remotely this year, virtually, and doing these art talks about once every 2 weeks. It's been such a great experience. We were just talking about that before we started, and how we're able to kind of access so many incredible artists from across the country and bring them in to talk to our community at Clark College and beyond. So in a way, it's kind of a fantastic thing, even though we're really excited to get back into the physical gallery space next year, hopefully. On that note, a few things to kind of talk about our programming to begin with. Right now we have a fantastic show up virtually at archergallery.space. You can check out Yulia Pinkusevich's solo show. It's called Calm Under the Waves in the Blue of My Oblivion. And it'll be up through April 18th. So you can go experience that and check it out through then. And then Yulia will also be giving a workshop on this Friday, March 12th at noon. So if you want to come back and do some drawing and interact with the artist, that would be a great time to do that. So we'll be there for probably noon to 1, something like that. She did ask that we bring everybody who wants to participate brings paper, ink, watercolors if you have them, a plastic palette, some brushes, and some charcoal. So that should get you through the workshop on Friday. And then Jeffrey's talk is our last one of the spring term, I'm sorry, of the winter term. But in spring, we have 3 more coming up. The next one is going to be April 16th with Christina Victor, who is an interdisciplinary artist, also a friend of mine and Jeffrey's from grad school. Really fantastic Cuban-American artist. I'm really excited to bring her in and have her talk all about what she's been up to, making all sorts of fantastic work across the country, doing tons of residencies and lots of other stuff. And then after that, we have Richard Tinkler, who is a fantastic New York City painter. So he'll be here, I think it's April 30th. And then after that, we have Tamara Seal on May 14th. She is a Southern California sculptor and installation artist. So really excited to have them. And in May and June, we'll have the Art Student Annual, and that will be entirely online and virtual as well. So we're excited to show and just check out and celebrate all of the hard work of our student artists. So that'll be the last exhibition this academic year. So again, you can check out everything. All of the past art talks, and including this one, are all recorded, and they are up at our website, again, archergallery.space. So you can check them out if you want to go refresh, if you've been to them and you want to kind of, you know, go re-experience and reference anything, feel free to go back and check out any of those videos on our website. And then beyond that, I'd like to say some thank yous before we get into introducing Jeffrey. Thank you, of course, to the art department. Lisa, you have been to almost every one of these art talks, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming, being here. Thank you, Shelley Williams, for coming. You're amazing. Thank you to all of the other folks in the art department that have supported our Archer Gallery and Clark Art Talks programs this year and all the years. Thank you as well to ASCC, the Associated Students of Clark College, for the funding and also the support this year and beyond. And so with that, I want to introduce Jeffrey. Jeffrey Augustine Songco, thank you so much again for coming and being here today. Again, I've known Jeffrey probably about 10 years. We went to the San Francisco Art Institute together and overlapped, I think, by 1 year. I've been a fan of Jeffrey's work since then. It is striking and brave. It's challenging, but it's also full of celebration and energy. And it's, you know, kind of addresses the overwhelming and overpowering need, I think, in American culture, and definitely within me personally, about winning. We're talking about winning. We're talking about this kind of intoxicating kind of need to be successful in this country and beyond. And so I think his work really does a great job of kind of working its way and exploring through that. Jeffrey has an MFA from the San Francisco Art Institute and a BFA from Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. His work has been exhibited nationally, including the Mattress Factory in Pittsburgh, where he currently is an artist in residence. And he'll be kind of talking more about that, I think, today. He's also shown work at the Wing Luke Museum of the Asian Pacific American Experience in Seattle, Spring Break Art Show in New York City, the Urban Institute of Contemporary Art in Grand Rapids, and the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco. Beyond these exhibitions, Jeffrey's work has been written about in the publication Queering Contemporary Asian American Art, and he was a Juried Award winner for ArtPrize Nine. Jeffrey is also a writer with writings that have appeared in the Huffington Post, Hyperallergic, Art21 Blog, and Bad at Sports. It's my pleasure to host Jeffrey today from his home in Michigan. Please help me welcome renowned artist Jeffrey Augustine Songco.
Hello, everyone. Test. How's that?
I'm going to pin you real quick.
Okay. And as I told Michelle once that if anyone has any questions, please feel free to chat them. And Michelle will kind of glance at it and interrupt me at any time, Michelle, if anyone has any questions, please. Will do. So I wanted to, I wanted to share a slideshow of artwork and take you on a little journey through some work, starting with the image that is behind Michelle. And it's I wonder if you would call it a misnomer, but it's kind of a work that I made that doesn't look like a lot of the other work that I make, but kind of the threads, the ideas of it definitely relate to other things. So I'm going to share my screen. And can you see some palm trees in pink? Okay, great. So what we have here is a work that I created last October 2020 called Tropical Realness. And it is 23 palm trees that are plastic, and they are about 7 to 8 feet tall, and they are spray painted in different colors of the rainbow, and then they are in a large pot with sand in it that is then on a concrete slab. Fun fact, if you make an outdoor installation, make sure that it is resistant to weather, because this is actually version 2.0. Version 1.0 had smaller pots and did not have a concrete slab. And when my partner and I went out to put them on the street in a social zone, actually, that Grand Rapids, the city of Grand Rapids, created these social zones. Yes, we put them out, and about an hour later, they all blew away. So we had to take them back and redo them in about 2 days with a couple friends, my neighbors as well, who also helped to put them back out. So Tropical Realness is about my own identity as a Filipino American artist. I love that this palm tree is a little bit exotic, and it is also colors of the rainbow, which is kind of a symbol for being gay, right? So I kind of took these two ideas and merged them into one installation. And you can walk around it. It was very cool for people to come. It was, fall, beautiful season of, the pandemic. So being outside was kind of the only thing we could all do. And a lot of people took selfies with them. There's my partner, Jeff, in the background. There's me touching up the paint. So that was a really, really great project and fun to do. A lot of work. Just because it was so large, so much sand, these giant palm trees. But again, it's kind of a self-portrait, right? And I like to think of the 23 palm trees kind of standing socially distant from each other, and then together they are one united rainbow. And so I'm gonna actually kind of go a little backwards into and kind of time warp into somehow my other work that I make. And then we will talk about that residency towards the end. And so This is a fabric collage that I made as part of a series called Flowers and Plants for my first solo gallery show in Chicago that happened last March. The opening reception was the week before the shutdown. So that was an interesting moment as well, to be really excited about this gallery show. And you know, at the opening reception, we were using hand sanitizer and elbow bumping, but no masks just yet. And then I think the next week was when the country shut down. And so it's kind of like it's weird to think about, right? That I made all this work and then the show's kind of canceled, actually. So it was extended throughout the summer because every other show in the gallery at that time had to be postponed. And it was easiest, I guess, operationally, if we just kept the artwork in there. So this was my attempt to make work that was commercial. This is a commercial gallery. I am hoping to make a sale. I don't normally make a sale, and this was an opportunity to make a sale, and it worked. I made something that had something very familiar on it, which are flowers. People love flowers. Flowers are great. People want to buy flowers. Let's do this. But my twist on it was that I created a fabric out of photographs of myself. What you cannot get from Tropical Realness is that I also take lots of self-portrait photographs of myself. And that's actually the primary part of my art practice. And so these are all photographs that, images from photographs that I took over the last 20 years. And I made a cool texture, a cool pattern, and had it printed. And then I cut flowers out of the fabric and I layered them onto canvas. And on the right is an example of one of 4 sculptures I made, also using the same fabric. And it was a really great show. I loved it. And it was an opportunity to see how my work could exist in a commercial space, because as Michelle kind of read, I tend to make work that is really in like an institution, like a museum. And my work is usually large. So this was like very small, hanging on a wall, and something, again, that I hoped that someone would buy. So I wanted to cut to real quick Robert Maplethorpe examples. And this is, he was an artist who took photographs of bodies at the time in the 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. They were pornographic, they were obscene, right? And actually, while preparing for this, I saw an article that was like, is his work even shocking anymore? So these are actually kind of the less shocking ones, if you will. But on the left, we have Ken and Tyler from 1985, and on the right is Calla Lily from 1986. And I bring this up because Robert Maplethorpe also took photographs of flowers because it had the same themes, but it was more approachable, right? Maybe people don't want to see a body, especially particularly a Black body, a dark body, a person of color body, right? And so the flowers, you know, if you do your research onto like the anatomy of a flower, it's actually pretty gross, right? So it's very sexual. Everything's about sex. And so these two are kind of how I approached the work I was doing with flowers specifically. So then I will jump to another part of this series. So these are plants. And then I'm going to show you the photos that they came from, the patterns that the photos came from. This is part of a series of photographs from a work called the Andy Cup. The Andy Cup is a sporting event that is part of a narrative called the Society of 23. This is where we're going to go deep, and this is where we're going into what I'm doing now and have been doing for the last 15 years. The Society of 23 is a mysterious brotherhood where I play all 23 members of this secret society. And these photographs depict the Andy Cup, which is an event where the brothers split into different teams and basically compete in different physical activities and events. It's kind of like the Olympics, or like games at a company party or a picnic. You don't know what those games are. I know what they are. I haven't made an artwork about them yet, but what you see here are their sportraits, as I called them. So again, here's like the green team, the yellow team, the referees, they have names. Within the presentation of the work, I also created a trophy. Excuse me. I created a trophy, and that is the actual Andy Cup. Wanted to jump to a couple artists here that also make work about sport, or use sport as a theme within their work. Just to show you some influences for me. On the left is Mark Bradford. This is actually far from some of the work that he makes. Usually he makes work that's like very large walls filled with, you know, kind of the scraps of posters that you might staple on a wooden wall in a city, advertisements, things like that within communities. This on the left is called Practice from 2003, and it's a video where, you know, it's exploring gender in sport. He created this hoop skirt in the colors of the LA Lakers, and basically he needed a challenge while he was trying to shoot a basket. And it's super windy that day, and his hoop skirt is just like flying all over the place, and he's like falling, and he's trying to make this basket. Excuse me. And then on the right, we have a photograph of a performance artwork and sculpture. It's called Body in Flight American by Jennifer Allora and Guillermo Calzadia. This was presented at the 54th Venice Biennale in 2011. And it's a wooden sculpture of airline seats. And then there are multiple sculptures like this. And the collaborative duo asked American gymnasts who are like pretty well known and like Olympic gymnasts to perform routines on top of these sculptures. And so here we've got sport combined with ideas of national identity. And this collaborative duo represented America at the Venice Biennale. So they were kind of tapping into their use of making these wooden sculptures as well as these performative kind of very spectacular type of artworks for such a grand event. And then they also collaborated with like the actual USA gymnastics coaches, the performers, athletes themselves. So I love that whole kind of production of something. You can actually see some of these videos online if you Google them. Mark Bradford, and then Jennifer Allora and Guillermo Calzadia. Okay, and here's the Andy Cup. I love stuff. I love buying stuff. I love collecting stuff. And so this is actually a Pottery Barn champagne bucket that I put on a wooden base. And that's actually in the description of the artwork, is that it is a Pottery Barn champagne bucket. And then I dotted it with some paint. The rainbow color themes seem to come up a lot in my work. It's the color scheme of the Brotherhood, kind of like Mark Bradford, LA Lakers, yellow and purple. I've got the rainbows. That's the color scheme of the Brotherhood. Here's the Brotherhood. Here's the 23 brothers. This is called Composite. I made it in 2008. Portrait photography, right? But then you put it under a mat and put a frame on it, and it becomes a different object. There's the crest. Yeah, the crest is in the center. And then you've got each of the brothers with their names. Each brother has a first name and a second name. Jeffrey Augustin's in the top center, of course. And then just a fun fact about how I came up with the names. I put chance and random probability into my work as much as possible because it's so complex. There's so many details that there are other things that I can spend my time on. And when I made these names, I decided to take the most popular boy names in America in 1983, plus my name, put it in one hat. Take the most popular boy names in America in 2008, put them in another hat, and then I just picked two. So you've got John Samuel, Justin Gabriel. I like that you get a less Eurocentric name, if maybe. There's one brother named Nicholas Jose, or who's another one? Ryan Caleb, Michael Angel. They get a little soap opera, if you ask me, but it's very cool to combine this very quickly. And then these names have been with me for the last, 12 years. Love a self-portrait. I grew up as a child actor in New Jersey, so I was doing a lot of performance work. I was singing and dancing, and I was on stage as a, as a singing, dancing body in musicals and stuff. So I really love performing, and I took that into my artwork, and that was my skill set, right? Some people know how to paint really well. I do not know how to paint really well. But I know how to perform, and I like choreography and going back and forth between the camera. I took these myself. There was not another person. And then I learned Photoshop. I love the computer. I had a computer growing up, and I love design. So you'll sort of see that within a lot of my work. So here's the brothers. The brothers have an Instagram account, Society of 23, if you want to check it out. I used to live in San Francisco, so this is like on the left side, like the bros going to the gym and protein shake bottle. The bros on a couch, watching sports. Actually, that one's about sports. They're watching like March Madness or something. March Madness. These I took in Grand Rapids a couple years ago. Brothers Black Friday, love that holiday. On the right, brothers just hanging out. And then this isn't an installation. I like to create installations as places to perform within. And so you'll see shortly an installation I created called Society of 23's Locker Dressing Room. And I made it in 2017. And so these are very quick Instagram photos of the brothers in the locker dressing room. And you'll see here on the right that they are with some stools, and there's like a mesh bag that has their names on it. Maybe they're just like goofing around. Here is the installation. So this is one side of a large installation. The wall on the right has another area to it. But this is the locker dressing room where the brothers get ready to do things. We don't know what they're going to do, but these are their ritual robes. And each of them have a robe that's rolled up into what's called a ditty bag. In the theater, actors place their costumes into mesh bags so that they can be washed for the next performance. And maybe not their large costumes, but like, their panties and underwear and things like that. And then this room really is a mashup of a collegiate locker room and a backstage of a dressing room, backstage of a theater dressing room. Am I saying that right? Dressing room of a theater. And you've got like the helmets, but they're also hoods, right? And actually, as part of my graduate thesis in 2011, I created one of these robes and I had it exhibited on an actual dress form. And I decided to give it an origin story. So when I made this in 2017, I made 23 of them and I put them in a space and I gave them a home. And here they are.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Yes.
I have a question in the chat about the numbers. I just want to make sure I get it right. But Hillary asks, what are the numbers on the floor representing? Sorry if I missed that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Right there. So that is actually the logo, the sports logo of the Brotherhood. It is S on the left, and then the O you can't see because it's behind the ottoman, and then 23 is on the bottom. I'm not sure if I have another image that'll pop up, but yeah, that's the Society of 23's kind of sports logo.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this was actually presented at ArtPrize, and which is an international competition here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and one of the primary reasons that I moved to Michigan from San Francisco. So I created this that year. And what's very common actually is that people like to touch things. There isn't like this was in kind of like a satellite building that wasn't kind of a well-known place like the Grand Rapids Art Museum or the Urban Institute for Contemporary Arts, right? So this was kind of like in another building. There wasn't really someone kind of being an attendant in the space. So I actually put these white lines on the bottom of the installation, which look very cool and totally up the alley of sports and like a basketball court or a tennis court. But I actually wrote a letter to the visitor, which was then printed out and attached to the outside of the installation right before you walk into the room. And it says, please do not cross the white line. Did anyone? Yes, some makeup is gone. There's a vanity mirror in here that is more of the dressing room component versus kind of the locker room component, which you can see here. Yes, some makeup was taken, right? But no attendant, that's what's gonna happen. Great, and so I bring up this image. This is work by Felix Gonzalez Torres, titled Untitled Golden from 1995. And this appears in very different iterations at any institution that can show it. But essentially it's kind of a golden curtain of these like plastic beads, like Mardi Gras beads. And his work is about his own identity as a gay man, learning that his partner had AIDS, then him also having AIDS, kind of very touching work that you can kind of pass through and touch. And so I'll go quickly back. That is kind of where I get my inspiration for my foil curtain, which then is part of a lot of the work that I create. So again, Felix Gonzalez Torres, Cuban-American artist, really great artist that has a variety of work that I will actually show another one soon, but work about identity and death and love and longing. And I think that's a lot about that. Those themes are present within my work as well. Just another close-up of the work. And these ritual robes, they are the ritual robes of the Brotherhood, but out of the context of the Brotherhood, I title these Gay, Gay, Gay robes. And there's the makeup. And actually that quote is written on that mirror with lipstick, and it says, "A great nation does not hide its history, it faces its flaws and corrects them." Prez George W. Bush. So that was kind of a theme that is currently running through my work about like this idea of correction and trying to edit our history into something that works, and that we cannot hide our history. We need to face it. So I think my artwork is kind of bringing up things that we need to face and correct. And finally, one part of the installation is this large fleece blanket that has a photograph printed on it of all the brothers wearing the robes, and they're facing a corner within the installation itself that has an American flag and a rainbow flag, and they're singing the Star Spangled Banner. So this photograph is actually called the anthem. And, you know, I lived in San Francisco at the time when Colin Kaepernick was the first athlete to kneel during the anthem, and it wasn't a big deal in 2016. And then in 2017, it became the thing. I believe those are the years, or maybe it was 2015 to 2016. But you know, at this time, this was the conversation that was happening within sports, was, are people respecting or disrespecting the flag. So I decided to have this be part of the conversation within this installation. And at the same time, actually, this came out in September 2017, this installation. August 2017 was the summer of the Charlottesville rally. So it was completely wild to present this work at a time when there was a white supremacy rally that everyone was really talking about at the time. So while these themes and ideas of racism and hate come up within my work all the time, it resonates with American popular culture at certain times. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into the next image, another group shot called Great. And Great is currently a large photograph that is hanging within the installation I'm about to talk about, which is called the Society of 23's Trophy Game Room. So we went from the locker dressing room to the trophy game room. And, you know, long decades view for myself is that I hope at some point later in life, I have this collection of rooms within this brotherhood. I have a dollhouse essentially of the brotherhood. And yeah, I'm working on the second or third room right now, or it's about to debut on Friday, actually. And this is the trophy game room. This is Great. This is a photograph titled Great. Here are the brothers. One is holding up a very large trophy. That's the rice bowl. But they all also have these red hats, which we all maybe are familiar with. It's obviously a play on the MAGA hat. But I wanted to reference it because I'm scared of the MAGA hat, but I don't want to be. And I need to make sure that that symbol is corrected back to what I think is appropriate for it, which is something that shouldn't be about hating people. It should be not about being a racist symbol. So the brothers have now taken the Society of 23, the red hat, and put their own logo on it. And it is a fun, athletic, team, celebratory, moment for this red hat. So I'm going to talk about the trophy game room now, and I'm going to explore it through some photographs that I got from the staff at Mattress Factory, which is great. They took the time to take these photos for me. We just kind of wrapped up the installation yesterday, and so I hope to get new photographs, later when all the other artists who are participating in Factory Installed 2021 get photographs taken of their work. But Mattress Factory is in Pittsburgh. I went to undergrad. I went to college in Pittsburgh. So this is an amazing moment for me. It's a dream come true. I learned about installation art as a student in 2001 at Mattress Factory. So it's just a dream come true to be exhibiting my artwork there, essentially 20 years later, right? And so for Factory Install 2021, and really just Mattress Factory in general, they have, every year they invite installation artists to come and create installations within their museum that has separate buildings. There are permanent installations there, like Yayoi Kusama's Infinity Room. There's 2 or 3 James Turrell pieces. You might know James Turrell from the Drake video. He's got like the very cool kind of backgrounds of color. Yeah, so I'm just so excited to be showing this work here. So the residency, I was supposed to be in Pittsburgh, and unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I was not there. So I had an amazing assistant named Dig Divine, who Mattress Factory provided to me, and other artists there also had assistants, and Dig just was my eyes and ears and everything on site. Excuse me. And so I created some work here in Grand Rapids, while then Dig was creating kind of the space that could be created on site. And you'll see this foil curtain here, plus a video of me, and it's like, wait, you're telling me you weren't there? Yes, so I created an illusion. I created a set in my basement with this black and gold foil. Black and gold is referencing the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is like crazy popular football team in Pittsburgh. So when I knew I was doing this room, I was like, I want to reference my memories and my history with Pittsburgh. And that included this gold and black color scheme. But yes, I created a reality show of the brothers called the Fabulous Society of 23 in my basement. And my partner Jeff recorded me for this video, and it's an hour long, and it plays on a couple monitors within this installation itself. So you get off the elevator, level 3, and this is the first thing you see. It's a pong table, beer pong table, with cups and balls, and then this video. And right on the left are gold medals for the Brotherhood. And actually, in Michelle's introduction, this feeling of success, this is really the best example right now of that theme that seems very clear. And so you've got these gold medals on the left. I asked each brother to give us one first place gold medal for the rack. And these are what they gave me. And then in the far distance, you've got plaques and trophies for different events for the brothers. So I'm trying to create this feeling that the brothers, are great. And while the locker dressing room is somewhere where they go to get ready to do things, the trophy game room is somewhere where they go to relax, play games, and bask in their awesomeness. And this is where they can see how awesome they are, right? Who are these guys? We don't really know, but we know that they think they're pretty great. So this is when you get off the elevator and look left. It's just a large room, and a couple things are happening here. A couple things are in here. All the way in the back, you can see the Society of 23 neon sign, just super fun sign. And then there's a bocce court. Actually, the brothers play bocce. And I'll have more photos coming up, but on the right wall there to the right of the neon sign, you'll see portraits. And then on the left, in the far back there, you'll see a piano with trophies on it, another photograph, a window, a foosball table, and then actually right around the door on the left, there is a poker table and more monitors. So you'll see that shortly. That's the blue tarp that's going into Yayoi Kusama's installation area. So my installation is sandwiched between Yayoi Kusama, Greer Langton, and Sarah Oppenheimer's permanent installations, which it's just, again, a dream come true. This is like so crazy to be amongst these artists for this period of time. So I'm just very excited and humbled by it all. But the Brotherhood is not humble in this room. So again, here are portraits and sashes, which we'll see shortly. Yeah, there you go. The brothers partake in different events, and one of them is the Mr. Society of 23 pageant. And these are the winners of those pageants from, I think, 2015 to this year, 2021. And below each portrait, which is actually a fleece blanket, again, just like that other blanket I showed you, the anthem. Under each blanket is the sash of the winner. And then to the very left, right next to that last portrait on the left there are the two crowns. The crown has evolved over time, so we're just showing the two crowns. And you can see some flecks of glitter sparkle in that sand. There's actually glitter mixed in with the sand there for that sparkle. And then this is the part that you couldn't see in that first picture, but there's the poker table. There are two monitors. One monitor will be playing the reality show. The other monitor, which you see here, is actually just a live stream on YouTube of QVC. It's one of my favorite channels to watch, but we bring in the consumption and the consumerism here again, right? The QVC is a glorified catalog, a video catalog, right? We're just trying to sell you things. I talked about selling with that artwork I had at the gallery. So this is just an extension of that. It's a relaxing television channel for me, and but it's also just kind of selling products. Everything in this room is a product. A lot of these things, most of these things, I purchased online. I had it, personalized on a website. But there is ideas within modern art and contemporary art about the ready-made, about a work of art that you can just buy that hasn't been touched by the artist's hand, things like that. That runs through this work very much so. And there's Great, the photograph on vinyl, and it's about, I think it's 10 feet long. And then there's another portrait all the way to the right there of another bro. And if you can see there on the very right, there's the Andy cup that I made in 2011. I kept it this whole time. I don't throw away art very often. And so I had an opportunity, I can't believe it, to show this trophy I made 10 years ago here in 2020 on a piano in an installation art at the Mattress Factory. So it's just very special. Yeah, and so here's another look at from this side. Let's see. And then another look.
Jeffrey, I have a question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long does this all take? Obviously, it's like, more than a decade's worth of, kind of thought and concept and everything that you've put into it. But, physically, how long does it take to kind of produce? I mean, each of these elements, in and of themselves is a piece of art, and you're creating obviously this entire world, this entire installation that's just full of pieces of art. So I'm kind of wondering just like how extensive, we're spending a lot of time looking at these images, and I keep thinking in my head, it's because there's just so much in here. We could kind of go around and spend time with each of these individual pieces and spend, 10 minutes on each one or 5 minutes on each one. And we would be in here all day, and I just wonder how long it took and, what it took to kind of put it all together.
Absolutely. So, the installation itself, my residency itself was 1 month. And I had the month of January. So I took off work. I have a day job. I have 2 day jobs, right? I took off work to only work on this. So I was working on this every day. And then, so let's see, I was taking photographs of myself, editing them. I was ordering things online. Part of my practice literally is sitting at my computer, ordering things from a website. It took, the video itself. My good friend who's in kind of the, entertainment industry said that it takes 1 hour to edit 1 minute. I didn't have anything super wild. I had video and then I had subtitles, but it took an hour per minute and it's a 1 hour and 9 minute video. So that took a very long time. But you can just see that there's always, within my installation, there's always going to be something to do. And I had a nice list of things and I'm communicating that with Dig and just like, hey, can you work on this now? I'll be working on this. If I was on site, I would be putting up the foil curtain, right? And foil curtain, putting up that was, it took a day, 2 days. It's a very, it's a very specific, that's 3 layers of foil curtain and it's a foot long. Yeah, and then, I made those felt covers for the table and for the chairs, which then have a stencil on it, which I put some gold paint that have the Society of 23's name on it. That took a little bit of time. So I was continuing to do different things at different times. Like I'll take some photos today, and now I just have those raw photos. Let me work on some fabric right now. Oh, I know. Oh no, I need to go back to the fabric store and get more. So instead of that, let me, edit these photos, these raw photos that I have and make a large photograph. And then let me send that photograph to the printer to get printed while then I do something else, right? So there's multiple elements happening all at once. And actually my day job is kind of like a project manager. So this is kind of just in line with the way my brain operates.
I was going to say that it sounds like you're a producer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just always looking at different elements of a large process. And it's enjoyable to me. I like doing that. Whereas maybe another artist wants to work on this one photograph and that's it, right? And so my process is like bouncing around, and I enjoy that, and ultimately everything will come together at once. But because of the virtual remote nature of my residency, I needed to make sure that things were arriving on time. You know, you hear people's story about, oh, I'm renovating my house, or you watch on HGTV, I'm renovating my kitchen, and then something doesn't come in and it like delays the entire process. Similar here, I needed to make sure that the entire process was super smooth. So actually I started ordering items online in December so that they would arrive to me by January, so that now that I'm taking off work, I have time to photograph myself with this red hat that I ordered a month ago. Right? So just a lot of that. So many elements, so many operational things, administrative things. Yeah, so this week has been really fun because it was about the details. My saying is football and installation art are a game of inches, are games of inches. So it was really fun to be like, oh, can we move that 1 inch that way? Thankfully, everything arrived at, on time. And yeah, it's been really special to see it come all together. But I was about to show this, so just a couple other art references before I finish. Cindy Sherman. This is Cindy Sherman's Untitled number 400 from 2000. This artist creates characters. We don't know the character's narrative. This is most likely part of a series of these kind of glamorous characters, but Cindy Sherman tends to work in series, taking photographs of these characters, but you don't know anything about them. And here on the left is, me taking a series of photographs of these pageant winners. But if I didn't tell you anything about them, what can you get just from the image, right? Here's The Kiss. This is Gustav Klimt, The Kiss Lovers from 1907 to 1908, a painting. It's a very expensive painting. You can Google it. But I bring this up because it's just another reference to an idea of a kiss, as well as kind of objectification. What are we objectifying here? Took me about 10 minutes to take that photo on the left. I was making out with that trophy for a while. But I do love this photo because it is a little bit what an artist's practice is. We have to fetishize an object, and it needs to mean something to us. A lot of artists create something out of magic. For me, I ordered this on Wayfair. This is a Wayfair champagne bucket, again, I think. But I'm fetishizing it, right? It means more than just something from Wayfair. And then one more reference to Felix Gonzalez Torres. I put a lot of doubling within my work, as an example of a homosexual couple. On the right is Felix Gonzalez Torres's Untitled Perfect Lovers from 1991, and it's two clocks that operate and work. And he said that it was the scariest kind of artwork that he's ever made because it represented him and his partner at the time was diagnosed with AIDS. And it's very poetic, like these clocks are operating perfectly with each other, but one day they will be out of sync. One might stop working. Oh, so touching, right? So on the left here, you'll see I have these two trophies. I have these two plaques. So I like the idea of the double. And there's also kind of this idea within gay culture that two men, the men go for each other who look like each other. So there's kind of that pop culture reference. And then here are just stills from the reality show, The Fabulous Society of 23, episode 1, debuts within the installation on Friday, March 12th. Hit subscribe on the YouTube, right here on YouTube, all that. So these are some stills. There are actually no moments or frames within the video that actually have two brothers in it. It's all kind of the sequence of images of video that you see that you think they're talking to each other. The top left and bottom right are the confessionals, which are the tropes of reality television where you talk about something to the camera, and that's actually used to create the narrative of the episode. And then lastly, I just want to get back to this because it's like, whoa, this is what we thought one would think that we would talk about today, but instead we went through all of this more representational, my body, my face, but maybe there is kind of a similarity here. And maybe if I go quickly like this, there's even more of a similarity. But yeah, so again, identity, things standing in place for me, there's actually me. And then I'll end with this teaser for the reality show, which I just put on my Instagram account. It doesn't exist anywhere else. It's not like a thing, but I wanted to make something fun for the reality show that people can see within the installation. And hopefully maybe one day it'll be online for people to see too. And that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. This is amazing.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you.
I'm going to remove your pin, and then I think we should be able to get back to all of us kind of chatting and do a little Q&A before the 1 o'clock hour comes around. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to use the chat too. Obviously, like some really like incredible visuals and concepts and content to kind of pick through. I'm really like so excited about the palm trees and kind of thinking about them as figurative pieces. You know, as a figurative artist myself, I really was drawn to that installation specifically because I started really thinking about the body, like you were saying. And, you know, being familiar with your work, I've definitely seen you use mostly your physical body throughout the last, 10, 15 years. And so it's kind of cool to see both, like you were saying at the end of the lecture, next to each other, where you're using actual self-portraits that you've taken and multiplying them, and then also kind of, juxtaposing them next to this image of all of these, palm trees laid out. So I think that they're functioning very similarly here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to my slideshow just to share. Let's see, let me go back up. Can you see my screen?
No.
No, okay. I was going to say that the body, even just how an object is arranged, how it's displayed, can really be so much like the body. And so, can you see the share now, or yes. The screen now? Okay, great. Let's see, I'm going to just play slideshow in window. Okay, so like this for me, like the arms stretched out, like just seeing the palms. Can you see that?
We can only see the Fabulous Society of 23 image.
Okay, let's see, share screen. Okay, there we go. Is that good?
Yeah. Oh, we can see the palm trees now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of like arms kind of, folding out and just being like super happy. But I also wanted to go to this specifically. The way I arranged these with the sashes hanging down and like the person's face on top, think of it as 7 guys and what that sash might now be if they're like in the middle like that, right? So there's like, I'm getting that kind of sexual, reference there. But yeah, I think about the body, or maybe those balls on that sand, right? So I play with that idea of the body a lot.
Yeah, I think when I was in grad school, I didn't really think about you as a figurative artist. And now after this presentation, I'm definitely like, whoa, yeah, definitely figurative artist. So funny.
Cool.
Yeah. Any other questions anybody has for Jeffrey? Looks like Shelley has one in the chat. She said, what actually drives your momentum with Project 20 or Society of 23? The imaginary characters or the art depicting them? Maybe it's both.
I love performing, and this is an opportunity for me to like really perform and be funny in front of the camera or be sad. You know, there's a moment in the reality show. There's a whole scene where one brother is just crying on the phone and talking to someone on the phone and crying, right? So I got to do that. So that drives me a lot, but also there's the cultural incentive for me. I think it's a really good way for me to tell a story that maybe isn't being told. You know, I think it's important these days to be anti-racist, not just like I'm not racist or whatever, but I have to be anti-racist. So I want some of those themes to come out in some of this work, especially just as a place of representation for a body like my own, and for others who are like me, who look like this, who act like this. I think it drives me then to have this strength in numbers, right? I could make all this work just as one body, but for some reason I made 23 and now I have this group that suddenly it feels more real, it feels more actual. It's not necessarily a fantasy anymore. You can literally go in this room now and this is real. So I hope to make, you know, this is my Meghan Markle and Oprah moment.
I love that. That's amazing. I think Hillary is typing a question. Does anybody else have a question they want to ask? Hillary just typed it in the chat. Without wording this offensively, but do you face a lot of discrimination based on your representation of your sexual preferences? She said, I worded that poorly. I just admire you so much for being so strong and confident in who you are, and I hope it's more accepted now than what we've learned in our class this quarter.
Thank you for that question. I grew up as a child actor with a lot of rejection. You know, not only for my race or the way I looked, but also just not getting the role. I'm used to that, you know, and I think there's a saying out there, just like anything you say to me, I've said it way worse to myself. I'm used to that. And a lot of my work deals with that anxiety, right? And this what you're seeing here, this is the opportunity where I was like, you know what, Jeffrey, give yourself a pat on the back. We've had a hard year in so many different ways. Let's just smile and have so much fun doing this one work. You know, you get to be great. It's going to be okay. Yes, there's always going to be discrimination. It sucks. And, you know, I will go on record that it's challenging for me to hold my partner's hand in public because I don't want people looking at me. You know, I don't want people giving me the bad looks. It's all in my head. It's not all in my head. I'm scrolling social media. It sucks. I see people being nasty to one another. So I thank you for that. And it's just something that I like to put myself out there in this manner because I think it's also an opportunity for me to educate and preach. When I'm just walking down the street, if I feel that anxiety and that thing that might happen against me because of what I look like or who I am, I'm not doing anything but walking down the street. Like that sucks if something happens, right? So I don't necessarily feel confident at that point because really all I'm doing is walking. And you know, Pete Buttigieg, Chasten, you know, they said that, oh, I came out again today. You know, they talk about things like that all the time. And yeah, I come out a lot. I came out today, maybe for some of you who didn't know I was gay or assumed that I was straight. Right. So I think it's always going to be that work. And it's just about, it's hard to be positive sometimes, but I think that is part of my personality and the way I am, because it's going to be challenging no matter what. And today is a great day because I know that this work is something that I've been working towards for the last 20 years since I was an undergrad student. And it is a dream come true to be at Mattress Factory now. So
yay.
Just gonna be the work. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, Jeffrey. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. Your work is so brave. It's so relevant and poignant and emotional and challenging and celebratory. It's just so many things. And I hope I get a chance to go see it. I'm from Pennsylvania, so hopefully in the summer I would love to go. I know the show is going to be up. We talked about it before, maybe through the fall. So maybe, hopefully, if vaccines are working and everything, that I'm going to be able to maybe hopefully go see it. Yeah, Shelly in the chat said authentic, super authentic, lots and lots of exclamation points. Mito's here too. She also went to grad school with us. She said, congratulations, Jeffrey. So there's just, yeah, really, really fantastic work here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for just sharing so much of you. I know that it's so much like being an artist and like opening up, but then also very much opening up about your personal identity and, who you are, beyond just being an artist. So, but thank you again. Thank you everybody for coming. And everything will be recorded. It is recorded. So if you want to go back and check out the video, if you want to share it, it'll be on archergallery.space. Again, all of our programming is on there. All the dates and everything for upcoming events are on there. So feel free to just kind of continually check back. We'd love to see you on Friday at the workshop for Yulia's, in conjunction with her solo exhibition with Archer Gallery. So come back at noon on Friday. Otherwise, thank you again to everybody. Thank you, Jeffrey, Augustine Songco. Check out his work at the Mattress Factory. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. So thanks again. Bye, y'all.